All right, guys. Good morning. As good as you can make it. It's not really a good morning for the Seahawks because yesterday was kind of the death knell, I think. Realistically, the odds of this team making the playoffs are now at a point where I think that as a fan trying to keep yourself sane following a team, it's kind of best to not even think about it anymore. Because you look at it, you look at the teams that have now jumped in front of us, you look at what those teams are doing right now, and you look at what they are likely to be doing going forward. I don't really see much of a path anymore. I don't. The path involves the Seahawks suddenly playing like a much better team now. Like, they need to get at least one win in the next two games and then probably win out after this two-game stretch. Again, this video's kind of sort of like a postmortem, but I want to focus in on the playoff part of things because this is obviously the focus of those videos. And this is the thing that is really important right now to understand. This is the stuff that's on everybody's mind. The Seahawks, they have been pushed out of the playoff picture. The door has closed, and I would be very surprised if that door opened again because what originally looked like a very soft conference that would allow a very weak team in is it's starting to round into shape a little bit here. It's not going the way a lot of us expected. And we're in a situation here where not only is 8 wins not going to be enough, I don't think 9 wins is going to be enough. You need double-digit wins if you're going to feel good about your playoff chances in the NFC. And when you're the Seahawks, you really need 10 wins because you might end up hurting in the tiebreaker department because of some of these games you've lost. So, to look at the NFC playoff picture to understand why this is going to be so hard, I'm just going to focus in on the wild card stuff. The Niners won in blowout fashion yesterday in Philly, which, if you had any dream of winning the division, it should have ended yesterday with that game. But just the wild card, obviously Dallas is sitting pretty. They're either going to get the wild card or win the division. And then it gets really tough to untangle. And a lot of these teams that I thought were going to fall by the wayside have not. You've still got Minnesota at 6-6. You've got Green Bay at 6-6, and you've got the Rams at 6-6. So those three teams are tied by record with the Seahawks. And as you can see, in a four-way right now between all those teams, the Seahawks are in last place. They are behind the Rams because of the head-to-head. The Rams are behind the Packers because of the head-to-head as well. And then you have the Vikings who have the tiebreaker over everyone right now. Now, there's going to be time for that to change, but some things are going to be relatively immutable, like the fact that we lost to the Rams twice. There's nothing we can do to change that. That's a tiebreaker that will withstand anything that happens the rest of the season. So, quite simply, there's a lot to overcome, even if this team does kind of pull it together. If the Seahawks kind of pull it together and get to 9-8, which is where they were last year, I don't think that's going to be good enough. Because, like I said, the Cowboys are good. They're going to get in one way or the other. Now, the Vikings, I don't know what the Vikings are going to do. Admittedly, they're the one team that I could see just falling apart because Josh Dobbs fell back to earth. Maybe the Vikings are the team that just completely falls to pieces here. But Green Bay got a definitive win yesterday against Kansas City, and that win alone should propel them to a postseason spot at this point because their remaining schedule is pretty reasonable. They should be able to get to 10 wins, honestly, but even if they get to 9, that'll probably be enough, and they should easily get to 9. They genuinely look like they're playing good football right now. So it would be really hard to stop Green Bay from getting one of the wild card spots. I don't think they're going to catch Detroit, of course, but I do think they're going to hold on to a wild card at this point. And the Rams, you look at their remaining schedule, the fact that they were able to win a game yesterday that we really needed the Browns to come through in, And you consider the fact that, again, they're guaranteed to have the tiebreaker on you. You just do the math, and it's like, how do we finish ahead of them? Even if we go 9-8, the Rams are probably going to go 9-8. If you look at their remaining schedule, you look at the games they have left, you look at the way they're playing, 9-8 seems about right, and that's not going to cut it unless, like I said, the Seahawks start playing like a completely different team. So while the Vikings, I could see them just completely falling, the bottom falling out on the Vikings, the Packers and Rams now provide a sort of a wall between the Seahawks and the postseason. And by the way, I didn't even talk about the Buccaneers, who kept their season alive yesterday with a win. They're only a game back. And then you've got the Saints, who are also a game back. Now, the Saints, I don't know what's going on with Derek Carr. He's been hurt like 8 different times this year, can't stay healthy. If they have Jameis Winston out there, they're probably not going to do anything. But regardless, it's just one more thing to potentially overcome. Like, what if the Seahawks do overtake the Packers or the Rams or the Vikings, and then the Buccaneers and Saints are there to snatch it away from you anyway? Like, that's a possibility. Now, these other teams are not really worth thinking about. Giants, Bears, Commanders, we got nothing to worry about there. But I think it's pretty safe to say that with yesterday, with the Packers beating the Chiefs, with the Rams beating the Browns, and I would even personally throw in the Buccaneers beating the Panthers, the door is closed. Like, our playoff odds, I don't know what they actually are, but it feels like they should be around 10%. It's going to be very hard to thread the needle. Realistically, the Seahawks are going to have to beat the Eagles in a couple weeks on Monday Night Football. And by the way, the Eagles might be on a 2-game losing streak going into that game. Like, that's actually realistic. So they're going to really need it. Even if they do beat the Cowboys next week, they're still going to need it to keep ahead of the Niners. And then go win out the remaining 3 games, including a game against Pittsburgh, who they have a lot to play for going forward, too. They're fighting for a playoff spot. So it's just too much to ask for now. And it's when you're following a team from day to day, you don't really notice how pathetic things are over a long period of time. But I want everybody to just take a moment here at this point to step back about a month and look at where we were at the start of November when we were 6-3. A couple weeks before that, we were 5-2. Things looked good. Things actually looked promising. There was a point in time where we were leading the division. And remember when I made that video right after we took the division lead at, I think, 5-2, where I said, enjoy it while it lasts because it might not last forever? It didn't last very long at all. It was over like that. Here we are, 3 games back of the division plus the tiebreaker. We're not even second place in the division. We are getting outpaced by a team that is in a rebuild year with a roster nowhere near as good as ours, and everything seems hopeless and bad. So, yeah, if you want to know how I feel about playoff stuff right now, I mean, I'm going to continue to hope that things pan out for us, but I don't think the Seahawks fans should be even thinking about playoffs right now because it seems like such a narrow path to walk. It's just kind of silly. So yeah, that's how I see it going right now. Nothing good. See you guys later. Go Hawks, and we're gonna hope for better things going forward. But straight up, I don't see it.